Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships, as we are in Estuary today in Standard Battle. And I'm giving you my first impressions on the Tier 11 supership, the British battleship, the Devastation, which is honestly pretty devastating. But as you saw on the loading screen, starting out here, this is a game where there's 2 submarines and there are 4 destroyers. So we're going to have to be mindful of that. One of the challenges with the type of matchmaker is that basically there's a submarine on each flank. So we're going to run to a submarine on our flank, but there's something that's going to be really clutch that one of our destroyers friends do for us. And I'm just checking out the ship. This is my second battle in the Devastation. The first one, I'll probably play some footage like at the end after the post-battle results, but it was pretty boring. The team folded really fast, and it was just a submarine like pinging me relentlessly. So yeah, that sucked. So I didn't really feel like that was a good video to show off because we didn't really do much. So the Devastation. What is up with this ship? We're basically, I'm newer to it, right? Maybe there are some of you watching this and you already know all about the Devastation. You've had it for a while. I've been poor. I've been grinding through all the tech tree lines and pretty much have all of them now besides some CVs and some Marines. And now I'm picking up the super ships because CVs and submarines do not inspire me at all. But the Devastation is essentially, it's a tier 11 Conqueror. Your main battery parameters are all identical in terms of fire chance, penetration, damage. The only thing that's different is with Devastation, you have 4 more guns. So rather than having 4 triple turrets, you have 4 quadruple turrets on Devastation, which means your chances of starting fires per salvo is greater. So you have a greater chance of just causing fires in general here in the game. And I'm going to get tied up here in a moment. I kind of like... This is something probably would have been, maybe my positioning was a little bad here at the start. So what I do here is I end up pushing in and I'm trying to support the Yugamo, but the Yugamo is making my job really hard. And you're going to see why, because essentially he's being a noob per the clan tag, per se, that he's just yellowing right in. And it's hard to support a destroyer who's just kind of throwing away their ship, and he's behind an island now as he's spotted by the Yamagiri, and I'm like, maybe I can get a salvo here. And I'm going to get spotted out here in the open. And there's a lot of battleships that are forming back on the BC 3-4 line. So, and I have an island to my left, which means I can't just simply turn out. But I can kill my throttle, of course. There's this enemy, as a Ushakov. We're going to be farming quite intensely this match. Who's sitting back there. And because we played with our throttle, though, that helped. One of the things I'm wondering about with the Devastation is actually having propulsion in the 4th slot. But I haven't done that. What I've done instead is just go for having the standard tank pick, the damage control systems mod 2, reducing fires and floodings by negative 15%. So there's 2 builds you can do, I think, in general. On Devastation, you could do a really sweaty OP or farming build, or you could do a more safer build, which is what I've gone for in this game. So besides having more guns, how else is Devastation different than Conqueror? If you're familiar with Conqueror, well, you have a stronger AA, particularly due to your medium range damage per second is much higher on Devastation than Conqueror. And then you have more hit points, and that's like the big thing that makes Devastation rather busted compared to her Conqueror counterpart. Because essentially, if you take the Charlie Kilo combat signal, you are looking at, let me think here, over 17,000 hit points more for Devastation, where if you don't take Charlie Kilo, it's like you're like over 16,000 hit points greater. So basically meaning you can take a lot more damage. You can easily be farmed more, so to speak, or have more fires burning, which is kind of like where perhaps something like Furious is actually, I think, possible on Devastation, where Conqueror it's a bit hard because you don't have those additional hit points to necessarily play with. And your heal on Devastation is also stronger than what it is on the Conqueror. And I'm just checking to make sure that that's accurate. Yeah. So you have a stronger heal as well in Devastation. So if you really like Conqueror, like I really like Conqueror, and of the 2 games I've had so far with Devastation, it's awesome. So I referenced having a really good destroyer teammate earlier, and that is the Delarna. So I pinged the map where this submarine was at, and he has come over and decided to help us, which is incredible because if I wouldn't really be able to play this flank if there was a submarine just coming in on me, pinging me unrelentlessly, or relentlessly, I forget how that word goes. Learning another language is fun, and then if you forget, get worse and worse with your native language, right? I don't know, that just feels like how it is for me. But I wouldn't be able to really play the flank if I didn't have someone helping me out with the submarine here. So props to the Delarna player, like that's really good destroyer play and supporting your battleship so that I can play here and we don't let this flank collapse. Because it's just me, the Delarna, and then our sub, which maybe is moving. Yeah. So we're going to smack the sub. We actually got 8 pins there. It is a really close enough to kill him. And we don't get the kill. I think the Delarna got a fire on him. Yeah, so he goes out. So now I can push up. So we're at 88,000 damage. So we're going to get even more. This is just the start. And we're going to be torturing here on the flank to the enemy battleships. Because one of the things that's happened here, one is they've lost the submarine. So the submarine's not spotting me anymore. And then the Yamagiri, very questionable decision making from him. I won't say what the Yamagiri is up to. You'll see shortly when we kind of figure out where he's at. So we're going to be able to just move up and torture the battleships, which is really one of the big things I think Devastation does well. It's just torture battleships. And of course you can torture cruisers. So pay attention to the depth charge there. There's AA. So the Yamagiri, or it's possible the Ushakov, have moved back there behind the island. Well, it's not the Ushakov, and there's the Lian. So the Yamagiri is actually just set up there in ambush rather than spotting. Go figure. So let's see if that pays off for him or not here. But what we're going to be doing now, as you can see with our blue shell tracers, we actually have Andrew Cunningham. And so one of the, he has a few skills and talents, but one of them is after you've destroyed 2 ships, you get another consumable, meaning we would get another repair party. So if I do the build real quick, I have to remind myself, I think we go from 3 to 4 heals, and then you get a 5th heal if you get 2 kills. The other thing is if you get Ruthless, which activates upon earning the Witherer achievement, you get a negative 10% main battery reload time. So we're looking to get a Witherer on someone. I'd switched to high explosive, or armor piercing, excuse me, because I thought I could get a battleship broadside there. Unfortunately, that's when the Yamagiri decides to pop out and smoke. So sort of stuck with the high explosive, but oh well, it is what it is. But we are going to utilize our armor piercing as well. Conqueror works in the same fashion. If you get broadside cruisers, broadside battleships, you should definitely be loading the armor piercing. You have an improved fuse time. So standard battleship fuse time is like 0.033 seconds. But on Conqueror and Devastation, it's 0.015 seconds. So you're less likely to over-penetrate targets, which is awesome, right? And now we're going to switch to the armor piercing. So that's actually like really good to be able to have here on Devastation. The other thing I wanted to make mention of, which I literally just forgot because I went and had a goldfish moment. I'll probably come back to me here in a moment. I think as revolving on the main battery. But when you have opportunities like I think I was thinking was the comparison between the Devastation and the Conqueror, is just like your AP salvo, of course, in addition to your high explosive salvo, you have a heavier salvo. Like the AP does 13,000 if you get to Citadel. So if you're broadside Ushakov, 26,000 damage. Probably a little bit hard to, I think. I think if we had standard pin on the Ushakov, maybe we would have punched through and hit the Citadel. It's a little bit of a challenge when you have a really armored target. You're more likely to not Citadel them, but you'll get the standard pin, and Ushakov is just like coated with really thick armor. We can see the Yamagiri is like just out in the open, shooting us for some reason. Don't ask me why. So we're gonna shoot him instead. We call him kind of turning a little bit out and away, and we get our kill. And we also want to secure the kill when we take Andrew Cunningham, so we can get the equipment spoils. So we'll get another additional ship consumable, which is just another heal. So 4 to 5 heals, as I said earlier. So we're actually going to slow down here. I'm trying to get the Witherer achievement, where it's basically we've farmed so much fire damage target, so much that it's going to improve our reload time. What the comparison I wanted to make earlier with the Conqueror and Devastation, which I now remember, was revolving around the reload time. So like Conqueror, you have a 26.4 second reload time if you take main battery mod 3 in the 6th slot. On Devastation, because we have 12 guns and you take main battery mod 3, it's a 33.44 second reload time on the main battery gun. So there's kind of this exchange. Yes, you get 4 more guns, but you have a longer reload time. So even the your main battery high explosive and armor piercing damage, as we get the Wither, so now we have a faster reload, so it's 28.5 now. You have a greater damage on the main battery AP and high explosive. So let me kind of pull that up here. Your armor piercing DPM is 328,000. Conqueror, it's 312. Your high explosive damage per minute on Devastation is 181. Conqueror 172. So it's not an insane difference. It's just the better reload time on Conqueror kind of makes up for it, as we now get the second talent activated heal here, and now we're back up to 4 heals. So we've already done 200,000 damage, and we still have a lot of hit points we can play with. So we're going to push in a bit more now and be a bit more aggressive. I'm still focusing Ushakov. One of the things with the Ushakov here, I mean, it's not like we're in danger of the game going either way. I could ignore the Ushakov and just focus on the battleships up at the B line and let him heal. But to do so means I'm going to have to show broadside to Ushakov, or turn out or turn in and reorient my guns. And I don't really want to do that. You can even see our concealment coming into play here. So your concealment is a little slightly worse on Devastation. It's 13.1, where if you go full concealed on Conqueror, I think Conqueror is like 12.9. Let me look. It's hard to keep everything straight. No, it's 12.3, excuse me. So you have a 0.8 more detectability range on Devastation compared to Conqueror as well. And we have been griefing the Ushakov. That's one of the things you have to be mindful of with like Conqueror Devastation, is that you tend to grief a lot of players. So they won't take fancy to you, and so they'll shoot you given the opportunity because of setting all the fires, so on and whatnot. We did take a massive hit there from the Satsuma with his 18-inch shells as we pick up the high caliber. You saw the Citadel we had. So we went ahead and we popped another heal. I'm in place. Sometimes you're going to be playing Devastation and you could be using your heal. But I'm also farming the Adrenaline Rush skills. So as you lose the hit points, right, our main battery guns reload faster. So you can see we're just at 26 point something. So we're like a standard Conqueror reload time now with the amount of hit points we lost. We aimed a little low on that salvo. So you can, this ship is busted. We didn't even push the ship to its limits here. I was a bit careless when I pulled out broadside like that to kind of get into this kiting position. It wasn't necessary so to speak. I could have kind of stayed Lian and just swing my turrets out, but I wanted to play with my conceal. You can see the plus 2,515 HP if we activate the heal. But I like playing with the concealment, so rather than being detected the whole time. So that means I think Devastation is like Conqueror. It's a mid-range battleship. Let's say 12 to 15, maybe think more 13 to 16 as an example of Devastation, just because your concealment's being around 13.1. So when you can just toy with battleships like we toyed with the Ushakov, he wanted to shoot us, but we went dark. But then, you know, as soon as our guns reloaded, we shot him again. It just kind of keeps him like, oh, who do I shoot? And he's like switching his main battery around, so on and so forth. So it's gonna bring this game to an end. The last battleship, I think, sailed up to A10 or something. I don't know. So depending on how this goes, I might just skip to the end here. But all in all, the Devastation, it's a busted ship. It's really hard to deal with the Devastation, especially if it's by an average to really like veteran player. It's kind of weird. I feel like the super ship meta in World of Warships is typically usually you have either it's a really bad super ship player. Like, I don't understand what the Yamagiri was doing. He wasn't playing to his strengths at all. He wasn't spotting. He never torpedoed us once, I don't think. Or you can get like really busted super ship players who just like wreck you, you know, like the Conde players and Edgar and Annapolis's and Devastation and so on and so forth. So, so I like the build I'm doing now. I'll probably do in a week or two, I'll do an upgrade commander build video on the Devastation. I went for a very like standard build, tank build on Devastation. And we could have still, like, there was so much more potential. We could have played around with skills like Furious, so on and so forth. So we got second on team. I'm with 2,300 base XP. Our Smolensk had a really good game. So the HE spammers, and there's the other Devastation just beneath me. We were torturing the enemy team. We did 93,000 damage to the Ushakov alone. Our fires was 66,000. You can see when we did fire the armor piercing, you know, 10 AP shells, 29,000, high explosive, 142,000, with some damage on the submarine from the depth charge airstrikes as well. And then there is the premium count. And we didn't even tank a lot. I think this game we tanked was 120,000 hit points or something like that. Or yeah, 120,000 damage is what we tanked, all said and done. We could have done much, much more. Again, the Citadel I took from Satsuma was kind of a bad decision making on my part. If it had just been like fires or flooding, you know, you can heal like, I think like all of that back. So yeah, so if you don't have the Devastation yet and you really like the British battleship line, then you probably really like Devastation. But as you saw in this game, I'll put it on the screen here. We had a really good game, but we barely made a profit. The other game before, I think I was like mid in the team. We did 120,000 damage and we lost credits. So you don't play the super ships to make money. Just because they're so expensive to play, they're a credit drain. That's really all they are. I think in Wargaming trying to slow down inflation in their game or whatever they want to say. So these are expensive ships to play, so I don't recommend if you're limited on credits, so to speak. So yeah, so as we're going to keep going through the super ships, it'll be really fun. I don't know what I'm going to get next. I might get Edgar next because I really like playing Radar Minnow as an example. And there's a little more differences between Edgar and Minotaur. But Devastation and Conqueror, for all intents and purposes, play really similarly, and I think that's why I like playing these battleships, because they're not gimmicky. You angle, you have great high explosive main battery, and you have a great armor piercing main battery. Manage your heal, manage your damage control party, and that's really all there is to it. It's not complicated with speed boost and gimmick buttons and things like that. So it's kind of surprising that of the super ships, very few, or this is one of the ones that didn't get a funny button. Which I'm all in favor for. I don't think the gimmick buttons really add anything to the game. If anything, they just add more of a nuisance in my opinion as more older player of the game. So if you liked today's video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you're doing some more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. And until next time, take care.